Welcome to the ZenAF Hustle Podcast. I'm your host, Julia Garcia Devaney. I'm a life and mindset coach for female founders, and my mission is to help thousands of ambitious, busy women become the number one asset in their life and business. Tune in as I share with you the behind the scenes of my own ambitious journey and help you bring the Zen back into your hustle so you can create the impact you desire and truly love your own ambitious journey as well. Welcome, and let's get into the episode. Hello, my ambitious babes. How are you guys doing? How are you feeling? So happy to be here recording this for all of you. I didn't have an episode for you last week because I was on my little baby moon, I guess you could call it that, in California in Laguna Niguel last week. And just enjoying my time there, enjoying the weather, which is much different. I miss California so much in that sense. I love the nature there. I love the weather. I love that you can wear, sweaters and have different kind of outfits. And I also got to see some old friends and some family even. So that was really nice. Sometimes I feel like I've moved around so much and that's affected me in different ways, but it's also been such an amazing thing that I can have, someone to visit basically anywhere I go and vacation. So it was a really nice, relaxing time. Spent time just hanging poolside with a little baby squirrel that was running around there, and went to the beach. And it's definitely not the Miami beach. It's that water is cold, to say the least, but it was just very, very pleasant and amazing food. Loved it. While I was there though, I just in talking to my friends and just in general, some of the conversations I've been having lately, I can't say I have a lot of conversations outside of motherhood and my day-to-day life. I'm pretty reserved, if you want to call it that. But what has been really clear to me in my conversations of late is that we kind of need to go back to the basics and with some things. I feel like I would love to talk about more in-depth things when it comes to mindset and change and embodiment and, energy and all those things. However, I feel like people still need to kind of hone some of the basics, some of the foundations, right? Some of those things that are needed to build upon. And one of the very first things that I heard and was like groundbreaking for me, and I've never really said out loud, even as a mindset coach, because, when you first hear it, you're just like, what are you talking about? And that is that your thoughts create your reality. I know this is like a weird woo manifestation kind of statement. However, I am really obviously passionate about, talking about the subconscious mind and how it really plays a very real role in your life. It is a very real, tangible thing that is happening, that is part of you, that is affecting your life that you are living currently. But I'm not going to lie, the first time I really heard about it was from this entity called Abraham Hicks, and that was so long ago. I don't even remember how long ago. I think it was like 2010. No, maybe even earlier. Maybe 2008. My baby's kicking. 2008, when The Secret came out in movie form, and I remember thinking like, oh, like that's how I try to think naturally. That's interesting. And that kind of opened my eyes, and then opened up like my personal development journey from then on. I just started to kind of explore new things, new ideas, new thoughts. And it just opened me up to like what is possible and how to create change and how I had already been creating change and why it was working or not working. So in my conversations, I it's like my toxic trait. No, it's not a toxic. It's just it might be toxic, who knows. But when I hear, especially my loved ones that I always hold with just naturally this space for them, I see them at their greatest potential already. I think they're amazing human beings. I think that they deserve the world already. And like essentially that's like my job as a coach, but it comes very, very naturally to me, especially when it comes to my friends and my family and stuff like that. It comes naturally to me because, again, I know where I came from. I know what I've been able to accomplish and do. I know that it wasn't easy, but it was doable, right? So it's the one thing that I feel like people may have heard before. So this information might be basic, but again, like common knowledge is not really common practice. And so if I could really get you to understand how your thoughts are creating your reality or results, your life that you are living, then that's what this episode is going to be for. I did an episode already on everything, all things limiting beliefs. So you know, I don't want this to be the same exact thing. I'm going to take this to even more basic level. But if you're interested in that, you can go back and listen. I don't even remember what I said back then, but hopefully it's going to be a different spin this time. So in my conversations, people report their thoughts and beliefs like it's the news. Like, this is so true. This is true for me. This has always been true. This is what I believe. And I almost want to like caveat and say, like, it's not really your thoughts that, sorry, my baby like kicking. It's not really your thoughts that are creating your reality. It's more so your beliefs. And beliefs are more so practice thoughts that are powered by emotions. I don't know if that's like an official definition, but that's my definition for sure, and how I have grown to understand it just with everything that I've studied and lived and so on and so forth. They are powered by practice and emotions. And that's what makes them kind of grab hold, right? Because we have over 60,000 thoughts a day, right? And so the key is that we don't have to believe every single one of them. The ones that take hold are the ones that are a little bit more practiced, and the ones, you know, so they're more repetitive. They come up more often, and maybe they've come up more often over many, many years of your life, maybe since the beginning of your life, even. And they're also usually kind of powered by emotion, like they have some kind of emotion attached to it that really makes them kind of just ingrain in and just like nestle into your subconscious. And the thing that I'm like, that gets me is like sometimes people become so aware of these thoughts that are not by any means conducive to what they want to create or achieve in their life. And yet they still give them a lot of attention and a lot of power. I should mention too that like the reason, we have 60,000 thoughts and basically 80% of them are negative. And the reason that they are is just purely biological, right? Our, again, brain is just made to keep us safe and to conserve our energy. So it's going to just naturally be negatively biased. So my goal here really is to help you befriend your mind and not make it the enemy. If you make your mind the enemy, then again, it's powered by emotions. It's not going to be easy for you. You're going to add much more resistance in fighting against your mind that is over 10,000 centuries old, right? And versus just befriending it, working with it in order to really maximize what you are living. That's where we want to spend our energy. That's what we really want to do. That's the outcome we want. So instead of trying to change certain circumstances, it's easier for us to change the way we view them, the way we feel about them. That is mindset. And befriending your mind would be the first shift that I would take. Is just understanding that, these thoughts are there because they just simply are going, like, brains are going to do what brains are going to do. It is really your job to choose the thoughts that you want to think, right? But what I find is that people are really addicted to the thought loops in their mind, even though they might even know that they're not true, right? There was something that somebody said to you when you were like 7 years old, and even though you've grown now, it's not true. You are still choosing, and I say that and holding your hand in a most loving way. You are still choosing to believe them, right? You're still choosing to let them hold you back. You're still choosing to spend your energy on believing them, on being sad about them, on letting them hinder the things that you want to achieve and accomplish in your life. And that's the second thing. Because what I find is that, most people, they're not aware that these thoughts are not helpful, right? Like, because when they tell me, they report it like it's true, but they also understand that it's actually probably not true. But what's true to them is that it's holding them back, and they don't know how to change it. They don't know how to let it go. It is something that has just been practiced and practiced, and that's the reason why it has such a hold on you. What I say all the time is that it is very easy to think negative thoughts. It is actually no energy at all to just kind of keep believing that and keep spending your energy on believing it and feeling whichever way you want to feel about it. This isn't fair. That was fucked up that they said that. Whatever it is, that is so much easier than actually choosing a new thought. It's even easier because obviously your thoughts create your reality. So the more you keep ingraining that thought, the more your environment and your experiences are going to reflect that thought and make it true. The more you're going to dig that thought into a groove. The way I see it is like a river. It's the analogy that always kind of, the metaphor that always comes into my mind when I think about thoughts, because rivers look a lot like neurons and transmitters and all that stuff. So I just imagine a very practiced thought, aka a belief, being a very deep river. And when you start trying to break away from that thought and think a different thought, it's like a little trickle that goes out, right? A little trickle that starts stemming off of that river, and it's not deep at all, and it doesn't go that far even. But the truth is that the more you practice it, the more you practice it, the more you practice it, the more you start believing it, the more you start seeing more evidence of it, and the more you start believing it even more because there's more evidence of it. The stronger that groove gets, the stronger that stream gets, the stronger that breakaway gets, and even so much more stronger than the original river. I want to just emphasize that even though I understand that it's easier to keep thinking the thoughts you've always been thinking, that it's so doable. Hard things do not mean that they are impossible. It's so doable to change those thoughts. I need you guys to first accept it, and be willing and wanting to create that change in your life. No matter how much I love you guys, and I wish I could do the work for you, and it would probably be easier for me to do the work for you, right? Like, I get it because I have to do it in my own life, and it's not as easy, right? I can't do it for you. You're the only one that can kind of do this work for yourself. And I know I talk a lot about different rituals in terms of, cultivating that wellness, mind, body, and soul and self. If there needs to be a very intentional, very mindset focused ritual that you do every single day. And I do want to give you a couple that would satisfy that because, I define mindset or like the mind rituals as anything that helps you change your thoughts, change your beliefs. And this could be so many different things, so many different rituals, even like, fitness or something like that can help you really change that, those beliefs and stuff like that. But, and I try to give you these very clear definitions with like an intuitive edge so that you can really find what works for you. But if I were to challenge you a little bit, I would say to look directly at the thoughts that you are thinking right now. You can do that by looking at your results that maybe you don't want, that you don't like, right? Because sometimes we're in the thought loop and we are not aware. Like those thought loops are very dangerous because it really takes an outsider's perspective to understand that, whoa, like you are just on a hamster wheel. You are living in a thought loop that is giving you the same results over and over and over, whether it's, being a hard worker or always attracting the same kind of guy or just going, like not progressing really in life and just being on a loop, the same loop over and over, like waiting for the right time and waiting for this. It like by your results. If you are like technically, and I just urge you to be very kind and also honest with yourself, if you are still in the same position that you were in 2, 3, 4 years ago, like really look at, side by side. What is your relationship status? What is your career status? What is your money status? What is your family status? If you are, look at those buckets of life. And if you have truly, truly, honestly, and kindly and compassionately not progressed, right, then you are in some kind of thought loop, okay? I was in that thought loop for a long time. I think maybe like 10 years when I was in the same career, always waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for the perfect mentor, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect schedule, the perfect this, the perfect that. Like it never came until one day I realized like it's never going to come. I am on a hamster wheel that I always said and thought that like I would never be a part of, right? I was in that thought loop over and over and over again of just waiting, for, I don't know, somebody else to realize my potential maybe. I don't know. There was just things that, the same kind of people coming into my life, the same kind of, experiences coming into my life, just like the same, until I realized that's actually not what I want. I had to remember who I was. I had to remember the desires I had. I had to feel worthy of having those desires despite the thought loop of the reality that I was in. So I say this with so much empathy because I've been there, right? I know that can be hard to look at yourself one day, just stop that thought loop and look at yourself in the most honest, kind, loving way and say, this isn't working. I've been doing this wrong. It's not working. This is not what I want. I need to do something different, and that's okay. You need to start recognizing the thoughts that are not helpful, that are not conducive to what you actually want. And simply switch your focus. Direct your energy differently. Things have to change. The way you allocate your time, your money, your energy, all of those amazing resources, very valuable resources that you have, it needs to change. That's the easiest way to start tangibly redirecting that energy and that focus. Where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your money? Where are you spending your energy? Take an audit. Take an account, right? Take an account of all of your results right now in every bucket of your life, in an area of your life, and start calling those resources back. Start calling those resources back and allocating them, investing them, however you want to describe it, towards the things that you actually want, the way that you actually want to think and feel, the things that you actually want to create, the life that you actually want to have and live. The reason change is so hard is because, like just by the definition, it's just hard. Like it's just really hard to move that energy, to break away. That because sometimes that means that you have to break away from certain people. You have to have really hard conversations. You have to have like stronger and establish different, stronger boundaries. Those things are what's hard, but those things are change. Those are the things that actually facilitate that change. If you are not doing the hard things in that sense, I promise you, you are living a hard life regardless. You're just doing different hard things. Things that maybe that are hard things that you're already used to doing, right? You're already used to being by yourself or going on shitty dates or like whatever it is. You're already doing hard things instead of having the right boundaries, being ruthless with, your energy and accepting those red flags as soon as they come. I'm trying to tap on different examples, but this is what they kind of look like in play. I also feel like this is turning into a real tough love kind of conversation, but that's just me. That's just me, and that's what I'm willing to do. That's what I'm willing to do for you. Because I promise you, if you tell your girlfriend about what you want and you say, but it's hard, I promise you she's going to validate that and say, girl, I know. I've been trying to like find the right one. I've been trying to like find the better career. I've been trying to not feel like I'm just grinding every day. And it's so hard. You're right. It's too hard. We can't do it. If I'm the only one that will tell you this, I'm fine with that. And I hope that you hear the absolute love and trust in you, in your potential, in my voice. I am holding that belief for you 1,000% until you can hold it for yourself. It really does. It feels like 2 pounds for me. While it might feel like 20 pounds for you, it feels like nothing for me to hold that belief because I just truly see you outside of your situation and circumstances and thoughts and beliefs. I see everything that you can accomplish, and it's like nothing to me. I don't have a doubt in my mind about you. I just know that you need to be willing to do the work that I mentioned. The work of actually looking at those thoughts and then refocusing your time, energy, and money to what you actually want to think, be, and live. I really want you to adopt certain rituals that really allow you to look at those thoughts. There's a lot. There's so many. But if you can just go straight to the source of like, what am I thinking right now? What do I want to think instead? That would be enough. There's like so many little things that you can do. You can even set an alarm on your phone that says like, check your thoughts, like, I don't know, every hour or something like that. And you, in that moment, you can say, okay, well, what was I thinking? That's one thing. Every time you touch a doorknob or something, every time you go to open up a door, right? You can think, okay, this is my cue to check in with my thoughts. What am I thinking right now? Is that really what I want to think? Is that conducive to my goals? Is it even true? Even if it is true, do I want to believe this thought? Or can I let it just pass by? The reason, and then there's also journaling and stuff like that where you can literally prompt yourself to understand like anything, your thoughts about a certain situation, about, what you think about relationships, what you think about yourself, what you think about what's possible. Just prompt yourself and to say like, what do I think about this? And then let the pen flow and the thoughts will come up that you need to actually look at and work at and develop better thoughts. What do I want to think instead, right? The other reason that I don't disqualify the other rituals because like something like meditation, for instance, it literally trains your mind like a muscle to bring the awareness back to where you say to bring it, right? So our we don't have the ability to just really stop thinking in that sense, right? Yes, we can get to a blissful state with meditation and a lot of practice, but most of it, right? Most of it is really just finding a focus, like your breath or a mantra or something like that. And when your mind goes elsewhere to a different thought, you simply kindly and compassionately redirect it back to that focus, whether again it was your breath or your mantra or whatever. That is training your mind like a muscle. And so that it makes it easier for when those thoughts come up, you realize that number one, you are observer of that thought and you get to choose, right? You get to choose. They are like you are not your thoughts, right? So you are an observer of those thoughts, and then you can just let that thought go very kindly, very compassionately, not beating yourself up, and redirect yourself to whatever thought you want to think instead. And these can be affirmations or mantras, however you want to put it. So if you have like a reoccurring thought loop, right, that comes up, I'll share one of mine that I had a long time ago when I first became a mom. I started getting into this thought loop of like, I don't have enough time. Everybody else that doesn't have kids has it so much easier and better, and they're doing more things and it's faster and they don't have to spend the energy on this. And like I just was like, again, like, one thought feeds another thought like it, and a like and a like and a like. Right? So I was in this thought loop of thoughts that, basically put me in a bit of a victim mentality. And it was consuming my energy to even think these thoughts and to think that, I was powerless from my circumstances and, so on and so forth. There's so many things that were just not, useful about this thought loop, right? Because that was my circumstance. It is factual, and I can choose to think however I want about it. And at that time, I was kind of choosing, it was really not for that long, but I was choosing to think that this was true, that I was at a disadvantage. Instead, I found one simple thought that whenever that thought loop tried to creep up, I believed this other thought as well, and I would just redirect to this thought instead. And that thought was 2 to 3 hours of focused time is worth more than all the time in the world. That thought I knew. That thought I believed. That thought worked for me so well. And I was able to not just become a new mom and navigate everything that entailed, right? Navigate a new life at home with my family and like the whole shebang, right? Where now I'm like responsible in such a different way. I was just like I had a new identity, right? And we all know like our brains change as moms and all that stuff. Not only was I navigating that, but I also was able to create a new business, right? Because I was pivoting at the time as well. I was able to create a new business. I was able to, create an audience and students and curriculum and like all sorts of things and learn a new skill. And like, it was crazy, like what I accomplished during that time by just switching that thought. So I essentially created a new whole, like created my business and worked on myself, did all my self-care, all in the time span of my daughter's nap time. So, and I look back like in absolute awe, and it was literally that simple thought redirection. Again, because you can't just affirm thoughts that you don't believe. The next ritual that I want to give you on that note is, I have very, there's very simple ways to create affirmations, right? But like a lot of people don't really know how because they're trying to affirm that they're like millionaires and all that stuff and it's not working or whatever. What's easier than to just keep affirming something that you don't believe, right? Is finding something that you do believe and is a bridge to the thought that you want to believe. Okay, there's that. And then, secondly, which takes a little bit more effort, but if you are able to do this, it will really give you an edge. And that is to list 10 to 20 things to prove that new thought right? So if it's like one of my friends was talking about yesterday, she was like, well, I'm not a creative person. I just believe I'm not a creative person. Well, firstly, I asked her like, okay, well, what do you define as a creative person? And she was like, oh, that's a good point. Never thought about that. But I guess if I think about it, I think about my mom who makes cakes. And she's like, I actually have no desire to make cakes. I'm like, exactly. So now you're just like, first of all, you're just debunking that whole narrative that you are not a creative person because you don't even, you see creativity in this very specific way and you don't even want to be creative that way. Anyway, and so I gave her the homework of like, list 20 ways that you have been creative or you are creative now, right? And I guarantee you, if you make your mind do the work and spend the energy to do that, you will find 20 truths of how you are actually a creative person. This is how you start changing those thoughts, right? The thoughts that are not conducive to what you want, that you just don't want to believe or you want to think differently about, that would really make you more of an asset if you believe, like, right? Like how much more of an asset would this person be if they actually thought that they were a creative person? Like how would that translate into their life, into their career, into their money-making opportunities, into whatever it is, like, that being a creative, I mean, I just genuinely believe that everybody's a creative person, especially entrepreneurs. However, that's my belief, right? She needs to believe that herself. And so that's how you do it, is like by making your mind actually do the work instead of sending you into a very easy thought loop of like, or even a dead end thought loop of like, I am not creative. That's it. There's And by the way, I'm sorry. I know I'm like breathing heavily. I'm just heavily pregnant right now. So I really apologize for that. But there's a lot of ways to look at how your thoughts are creating a reality versus just taking my word for it, right? There's so many ways. I mean, like if you look at anything that you are thinking and then anything that you are living, you will see how it is playing out. And I don't have a very specific example at the moment. However, it never fails. When somebody's explaining to me the things that they think and believe, okay, I'll take a really good example because I hear it so much here in Miami. I don't know why. My single girlfriends will just tell me like, you can't date in Miami. Like there's just no good guys in Miami, right? And I promise you, I never let anybody walk away with that thought because it's such a useless thought. So you're telling me in this whole city of like, I don't know how many people are here, but thousands and thousands of people, and especially even the people that are transient, that are coming in and out because it's a very transient city as well. Like, doesn't mean that they have to be from here by any means. I met my husband here and he's from Canada or whatever. So it's the possibilities are endless. But if you're already narrowing yourself down to think that there are no good guys here, that dating in Miami is useless, then those are the exact results that you're going to get. You're going to feel a certain way about that thought, right? And then by feeling a certain way, maybe you're going to feel hopeless. Maybe you're going to feel anxiously attached to the one person that is actually looks like they might be a normal human being. Maybe you're going to, just feel like whatever. Like hopeless is a pretty good one. That's how I would probably feel if I really felt that there was no good guys here at all. And that's going to make me take certain actions or inactions. Maybe I don't get on the dating apps. Maybe I think that they're all bogus. Maybe I think that There's no use of getting dressed up because there's no good guys here. So why would I get dressed up to go to the grocery store, right? My opportunities are going to be shut down. My awareness is going to be shut down. That particular activating system is going to be shut down because I already have deemed it like impossible. Like it's just not going to happen. And the result that I'm going to get clearly is that all I meet is losers that, you know, solidify that there's no good guys here, right? Or I just don't meet anybody at all. I just like stay in the house and like I never leave. And therefore I can never understand if there's any good guys or not. So this is how your thoughts create your reality. And the other model I like to use is the Robert Dilts model of change. And in this model, at the very bottom of the pyramid, it's like environment, and then it's like, I think it's like skill sets, then it's capabilities, then it's like thoughts and beliefs and values, and then it's like identity, and then at the very top is purpose, right? But then, like, how do you get, if we're talking about thoughts and beliefs, which is kind of at the higher end of that pyramid, right? How do we get to that place, right? And there's many ways to look at that and hit that. You can hit this pyramid on any level. But for instance, like in your environment, it may be switching focus to a different example, a different life example, right? Like if you want to just have a better relationship, I guess, with yourself, maybe, or whatnot. Your environment is really key, and that's the easiest thing for you to change. It's at the very bottom of the pyramid, but this has really like so much potential to change everything, trickling all the way up to the pyramid. Because if you just change your environment, then it's very easy for you to start believing new things and feeling like a whole different person is opened up to you. Like that happened to me essentially when I moved away from my hometown and I changed my environment. I was around different people. It started opening up my thoughts and beliefs. So I just completely, bypass the capabilities and skill sets and all that stuff. Like that came later. Sure, like I had to adapt to that. That made me a different person. I had a different identity once I started thinking new things and having new possibilities open up for me and like of what is possible, what kind of life is possible to have, right? Because, I'm from a little POS town in California in the Bay Area, right? And now I have the ocean in my backyard. That was not in, it was just not fathomable where I was before. It started opening up the possibility for that, like the possibility for that started opening up when I moved to Southern California. And then I moved again, and then I moved again. And then all of a sudden, here I am. Right. So environment and changing your environment can be so instrumental to start changing those thoughts and those beliefs as well. If you're always around the same people that have seen you the same way for so many years, sometimes it's really hard for them to, and I'll talk about this in another episode that I've been wanting to kind of make for a long time, but I've really just been trying to process my own thoughts and emotions around it, which is, having friendships that are supportive of you in your business journey and stuff like that. Like, because I feel like that comes up quite a bit in my work where people are not support, like people that are in your current environment are not supportive of your new goals or your new business or your new family or whatever it is. Anyway, so, and that's because in a nutshell, right, they know you as one certain thing. And when you're starting to change, that is a very uncomfortable thing. It changes not only just, uncomfortable for you, but sometimes it could be uncomfortable for other people as well. So I'll get into that in another episode, but I just want you to see how we can tackle those thoughts and those beliefs in many different ways, on many different levels, right? I guess it would just have to depend on how you would like to tackle them. I, again, suggest a very simple mindset practice every single day to simply acknowledge what thoughts are there and acknowledge what thoughts would be better instead, Like, sometimes it's as simple as that, right? And then we can go from there, right? You can go from there. Like, that's the beauty of a routine and evolvement and personal growth, really, is that it never ends. And that's a beautiful thing. You can kind of go deeper and deeper with your practices, try different things, and really establish new levels, new levels, new levels, and work towards ultimately like the life that you want. Let this not be a daunting thing. Let this be an exciting thing that we get to live and evolve for many, many, God willing, many years. Okay, so I know I didn't give you very chronological steps or anything like that, but I would love to hear if this was enlightening for you. I'd love to hear your takeaways. I'd love to hear if you have extracted what your next steps could look like or could be. And you can find me at Julia Garcia Devaney on TikTok, Instagram, all the things. I love you. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening, Ambitious Babe. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share your favorite takeaways with me at Julia Garcia Devaney, and be sure to leave us a review, as that would mean so much. And if you're ready to put the Zen back into your hustle and love your ambitious journey, be sure to download the Get Zen AF app, where you'll learn to prioritize yourself and truly become the #1 asset in your life and business. It's available in the App Store and Google Play. Check out the links in the show notes, and I'll see you inside.